Welcome to What If Multiverse. Today we take you on a journey into a chilling science fiction scenario. What if the Amazon rainforest disappears? Before we begin, subscribe to the channel and like this video so together we can step into a future that could become terrifyingly real. The year is 2050 and the world no longer resembles the home we once knew. The sun scorches harsher each day. Real rain has not been seen in years, and oxygen masks have become a normal part of human life. In one of these suffocating gray cities, a teenager named Lucas wakes up, and the first thing he feels is shortness of breath, as if the air itself is no longer enough to fill his lungs. He has never seen the vast green forest called the Amazon, but in faded books and old photographs, he has heard that such a paradise once existed. His grandmother told him stories of birds that flew like rainbows and a river as wide as the sea, but to Lucas, all of it seemed more like myth than reality. On the streets of the city, people stand desperately in long water lines, a drop of fresh water worth more than gold, and Lucas cannot understand how a planet once full of rivers and rain has become such a desert. The narrator explains, this is the future that began with the destruction of the Amazon rainforest, once the largest tropical rainforest on Earth, and now gone forever. The Amazon, stretching over 5.5 million square kilometers, was home to millions of species of plants and animals, and without it, Earth's biodiversity became like a burned, incomplete book. The trees once absorbed billions of tons of carbon dioxide each year and released oxygen. But without them, the Earth is drowned in heat and smoke. In just a few decades, global temperatures rose by 2 to 3 degrees, enough to permanently break the balance of the climate system. Polar ice melted at frightening speed. Coastal cities like Miami and Mumbai slipped underwater, and millions of people migrated like an unstoppable wave. But for Lucas, all of this was just history lessons. What he felt every day was thirst, heat, and an empty sky without clouds. When he saw scientists on television explaining that the Amazon was once a giant engine of rainfall, he finally understood why he had never seen real rain. Without the Amazon, South America dried up, but not only that, Africa and Asia lost their rainfall cycles too. Agriculture collapsed, fields cracked and died, and food became rare and untouchable, so much that even bread turned into a luxury dream. In this grim future, wars for water began. Governments closed their borders, and armies marched to guard the last rivers. Millions of refugees crowded behind barbed wire, seeking only one thing: survival. Lucas listened at night to the sounds of protests in the streets, young voices shouting, "Why was our future sacrificed for your past?" But this was not only a human tragedy, it was also a scientific catastrophe, because with the death of the Amazon, humanity lost one of Earth's greatest living laboratories. The tree rings no longer spoke. The climate archive of thousands of years was destroyed, and humanity stumbled forward blind. Children in schools learned that there had once been a forest called the lungs of the Earth, but to them, it was like dinosaurs, something that once existed but was now gone. While Lucas struggled to breathe each day, scientists in old archives reminded people that if the Amazon had survived, it would have provided 20% of the world's flowing fresh water. Now rivers had shrunk into muddy trickles, and villages by their banks showed nothing but dead fish and broken boats. Each time Lucas turned on a tap and only a few drops came out, he remembered that the Amazon once carried clouds across continents. Farmers in parched fields shouted and pointed at the cracked soil. Land that had once thrived under Amazonian rains now turned to dust. Bread cost a day's wages, and every bite a family took felt like they were spending pieces of their hope. Extinction was no longer a headline, it was a daily fact, as every day a new species disappeared into the void. Lucas had never heard the song of birds in his childhood, and when his grandmother spoke of them, all he could imagine was the sad silence of the streets. Scientists warned on television that more than 3 million species had vanished forever, many erased before we ever named them. Perhaps a cure for cancer, a key to Alzheimer's, or a medicine for diseases yet unknown had been lost with those plants. Lucas saw empty shelves in pharmacies and realized these warnings were not theories but daily realities. Politicians, meanwhile, fought over what little remained, and even without existing, the Amazon remained a battlefield for global power. Some nations invaded others for mines and bare land, adding blood to already scorched soil. Lucas watched news where the United Nations had lost all credibility, having failed to save the Amazon. Protesters raised signs reading, "You killed the Amazon. You killed our future." Slogans like a fire spreading across cities. But the narrator says, the Amazon was not only a forest, it was a living laboratory for understanding Earth's secrets. When that laboratory vanished, humanity became blind, unable to predict its own future. Tree rings that once told climate history for millennia were gone forever, leaving us wandering in darkness. Lucas looked up at the stars at night and asked, "Does this planet still have hope for life?" In his dreams, he saw visions of the Amazon, rainbow-colored birds, roaring rivers, towering trees touching the sky. But when he opened his eyes, all he saw were gray towers, cracked soil, and the humming of machines. His generation no longer saw Earth as a living home, but as a wounded planet. A wound so deep that trust in the future leaked out drop by drop. The narrator reminds us, if the Amazon disappears, we do not just lose a forest, we shatter the spine of Earth's balance. Water, food, air, culture, politics, economy, and hope all collapse together. No one, not even those far away, escapes the consequences. But the question remains, can this future still be stopped? Scientists insist yes. If we act today, we can slow the destruction and rebuild parts of the Amazon. It will not be easy. It requires political will, enormous resources, and true global unity. Deforestation must end, burned lands must be replanted, and the value of the Amazon must be seen as more than timber and farmland. The Amazon is humanity's heritage, not just Brazil's, and if we fail to protect it, we show we are unworthy of calling Earth our home. The future of our children depends on today's choices, a choice between a living planet or a scorched desert. You may believe your role is small, but every act matters, using less plastic, supporting green policies, planting trees. Each action is a drop that builds a wave. If billions of us do the same, that wave can change the future. History shows that when humanity unites, the impossible becomes possible. Now it is our turn to decide. Do we save the planet or let it wither and die? The Amazon is Earth's beating heart, still alive but growing weaker every day. Every tree cut is a cell ripped from the body of the planet. Every fire is a heart attack striking Earth's lungs. If these attacks continue, collapse becomes inevitable. Yet there is still time to reverse the story. Imagine headlines filled not with deforestation, but with reforestation. Imagine children reading not about destruction, but about recovery. Imagine nations competing not in war, but in saving a shared lifeline. That future is still possible, but only if we begin today, not tomorrow, not next week. If we delay, the domino of destruction will fall, unstoppable. So ask yourself, will you act to save the forest that gives you air, water, and life, or wait for a future where the Amazon exists only in memory? The Amazon is more than a place. It is the red line between civilization and collapse. Lose it, and we lose part of ourselves. Because this rainforest is not just an ecosystem, it is part of human identity. So next time you breathe fresh air, remember part of that breath came from trees thousands of kilometers away. Next time rain taps your window, remember those drops once began in the Amazon? Next time medicine saves a life, remember its roots may trace back to a hidden plant in the rainforest. All of this proves the Amazon, no matter the distance, has always been part of your life. If it disappears, part of your life disappears too, even if you cannot feel it. But if it survives, your children will inherit a planet where hope and greenery still flow in its veins. The choice may sound simple, but action is hard because it demands we fight greed, bad habits, and short-term gains. Yet the future is worth every struggle because nothing is more valuable than a living earth. We stand at a turning point that will define history. If we do nothing, the Amazon's end will be our beginning of the end. But if we act, its story becomes one of hope and rebirth. The forest can breathe again, build clouds again, can give life again. Everything depends on today, on us, on our courage. No one is exempt, because we all breathe air shaped by the Amazon. We all drink from its water cycle, and we all inherit Earth as our only home. Let this nightmare remain just a what if, not our reality. Let the Amazon be not the end, but a beginning again. Because if the Amazon lives, hope lives. And if hope lives, humanity lives. This was the scenario of what if the Amazon rainforest disappears. A story that warns us of a nightmare, but also reminds us we can still change course. If you found this journey eye-opening, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and join us again. Because here on What If Multiverse, we continue to leap into other possible worlds. Not just to scare you, but to awaken you. The choice is in our hands, in our present, in this very moment. If we dare to act, the Amazon can survive. If we stay silent, it will vanish, and with it, a part of ourselves. So let this be the moment we write a new story for the Earth. And let this be the call to action that turns what if into we did.